Okay, welcome. It's our first podcast slash video, I guess, because everybody's doing video too. This is Caged by the Page. We're gonna review books. We're gonna give our kind of like general opinion on what we think of the book, and then we're gonna go into a spoiler section for the book. So I'm joined today by John. Hi, John.
Hello.
Winona. Hi, Winona.
Hello.
And Tiffany.
Hi.
And I'm David. Yeah, we just felt like, we wanted to kind of talk about some of the books we've been reading. We have two massive nerds, two huge book nerds. Winona and Tiffany, they've read, 10,000 books together, right?
I wish.
Yep.
Me and John, not so much. Right, John?
I read when I can, but there are other things that take up my time.
We're not convinced that he's literate.
Well, that's very expensive.
Well, okay, so that's fine. You could also do audiobooks. Audiobooks is a thing, so, to each their own. So anyway, it's October. It's the spooky season. It's Halloween season. And we were hopefully trying to get this out by the end of October. So we decided to read a book by, what was her name? Freida McFadden? Is that right?
I think it's Freida.
Freida? Okay, Freida McFadden, my bad. And the book's name is The Locked Door. Ooh. What's behind the locked door? I don't know. Well, I do know, but we won't go into that right now. You gotta wait to the end. So I'm just gonna run down on what the book is before we start. So let's see. It is a stunning novel that puts a new spin on the serial killer genre. Ooh, serial killers. The Locked Door follows Nora Davis, a successful surgeon who is also the daughter of a notorious serial killer. When her patients start dying in the same gruesome way that her father used to kill his victims, she becomes a prime suspect. But she's not a killer like her father, or is she? Okay, yeah, that's kind of that's pretty much the book, right, guys?
Well, what was that red line for line, or?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's like the back of the cover, basically.
Yeah.
Do you actually have the physical book, or do we all just have the digital?
I think we all did.
Yeah, digital.
Or Marvel readers or all
Well,
that?
okay. Well, first of all, I want to say that it was free on Prime, so free is good. Aside from getting it from your local library, which they don't have anything here. I checked my local library; it fucking sucks.
But also support your local library.
But also support your local library.
If possible, support your local library.
Yeah, if they don't have any one book that you want is on hold for 5 years. So it's fuck that. So yeah, let's just start a little bit about kind of the overview of the book. Yeah, it's about Nora. She's a surgeon, and yeah, her father, just off the bat, in the first chapter, I think it's he's a serial killer, and he is put away. So kind of after that, I don't know. Why don't you guys just kind of give off a little bit of what you thought of the book? Did you feel that, I don't know, what were you expecting? Have you read anything by Freida before? Winona, to start?
I'm not trying to interject to be rude.
No. I mean, yeah, might as well do a hand raise.
So I've never read anything by her before reading Locked Door, but after I read something by her, The Surrogate Mother, which I gotta say, she's got a style and she sticks to it.
Okay.
That sounds interesting.
Yeah, I mean it was okay, but we're not going into that book. We're talking about The Locked Door.
Okay.
I did like how there was dual perspective as as her as a child versus her as an adult, and kind of that's where the wild ride really takes you, because you don't know when the scene is going to end, when her childhood scene is going to end, and then you just get launched back into her adult. And I don't know, I found that really interesting about the book.
Yeah, remember, spoiler free for now, and then we'll go more.
Yeah.
So just okay. So like overall, like with the serial killer aspect of it, you know, did you feel like you had a thrill from this book?
Yeah, I felt like I had a thrill from the book.
Okay.
I think there was a decent amount of tension, but it was short, so it was like you were just waiting for the bit, you know? You're just waiting to get there. Okay. And I think that it wasn't drawn out like a lot of thrillers can be. We were just like, okay, can we get to the point? I think that was decent.
Yeah, and it was a breezy read too.
Yeah. I mean, he read it in technically 2 days.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, John, what about you? How'd you feel about the book? Oh, by the way, John is a police officer, so if any one of us is to meet a serial killer, it'd probably be him.
Oh, well,
how many serial killers have you caught?
None.
Zero.
I mean, and now we're talking about suspects who like to shoot or stab, then I caught a few. But that's a whole different story. So when it comes down to the book itself, I felt that it was actually really interesting when it came down to the pace. And in regards to the whole slasher horror type of deal, it was good, but more on the suspenseful side. I could have wished there would have been more heart-racing moments where the main character, Nora, might have been pursued a little more effectively, or there could have been like a little bit more to kind of add more tension. But with that aside, I feel overall it was a pretty decent read when it came down to playing out the entire scenario and getting the reader hooked onto it.
Okay. Tiffany, how about you?
I mean, it was okay. I'm not a hater per se. It's just, I don't know. It felt like a chore reading it. I was kind of bored.
Now, to be fair to you, Tiffany, your books are not anything like normally what you read is a more high fantasy and stuff, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, that makes sense.
This is like outside of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
Okay.
Are you not a fan of horror, or?
No, I love horror. It's just, I don't know. It felt like there was something missing.
Okay.
Well, I can agree with that, and we can both agree on that. No, there's no spoilers. I'm saying, like, in regards to how the story played out, I feel like there were certain aspects of certain characters that could have been fleshed out a bit more to give more context and paint a better picture of the overall scenario, but we didn't get as much of that in the book. There were bits and pieces for the characters that mattered, but everything else that contributed to it, we didn't get that much. So I do kind of agree with you on that.
Yeah.
What made you feel like the biggest chore? Like what was the chore feeling?
It was more like her writing style. Like there were some sentences where I would put like a note. Like there was one specifically where it was like, I'm baking a cake from scratch. I made it with eggs and flour and sugar. Like I know what from scratch means. I don't need you to explain it to me.
So I will add to that. The author, at least for this book, I haven't read any of the books, seemed extremely descriptive of what is occurring, whether it be the environment, scenarios, feelings, whatever, which can be good and can be bad. Like for you, what I'm seeing that over explanation kind of makes it dry and kind of just makes me feel like I don't care about this detailed description because that's not what I'm reading this book for. But for me, outside of some of the mundane stuff, it kind of immersed me a bit more because I'm very big on descriptions. So it immersed me a bit more and it kind of made me feel like I was actually there and I was able to actually visualize a lot of it more. Like differences like the audio aspect, what she sees, the descriptions, the smells, all that stuff kind of made me feel more in tune with it. But that's just because I'm personally someone who likes visuals. I'm very in tune with seeing something more than reading it. So having that kind of guide me along to descriptions help me be more immersed with the book.
I will say that the book's only 311 pages. If she didn't write any descriptions, it would be gone. Like
gone. Yeah. I'm not asking for no description.
Yeah,
it's just for me, it felt more like it was a conversation rather than I'm a fly on the wall seeing this happen.
Right. I get you.
That's fair.
Okay. Overall, I thought the book was all right. It was definitely again, it's a really fast, like popcorny. Like the entire time as I was watching this, while I was reading this book, I felt like I was watching like a thriller movie, like Scream. In fact, I really felt like the main character was super based on what's her name from Scream? The main character. Yeah, like even the hair color, right? I mean, all of that stuff, because that kind of plays into what goes into kind of the serial killer aspect of the book. Which, by the way, for the serial killer, which I don't know if it's really spoilerish or anything, because it's all really in the beginning of the book, right? His whole thing is that he collects like hands.
Yeah.
He's a handyman.
He's called
a handyman. Exactly, that's his name. So that was kind of interesting. I mean, I know that there are like serial killers that do collect parts of people. I don't know if hands. I've ever heard of anybody who collected hands.
Well, those would be like trophies.
Yeah, trophies. Yeah.
Whether it be body parts, it could be stuff that they wore, jewelry, or it just depends on what the serial killer deems to be something that will remind them of their victims.
Yeah.
So,
and this reminded me of those weird stories in Canada where feet were washing up on the shore. Have you guys ever heard of that?
Interesting.
Yeah. I don't remember if it was linked to a serial killer, but that's what I thought about. Where it was like, well, shit, man, maybe that's where she got the idea from.
Someone seriously had an interest in feet, so having this floating around.
Yeah. So the handyman thing was kind of cool. I like the name, obviously. I thought that was kind of cool too. Like handyman, cuts off hands, keeps them in jars or whatever. The idea behind Nora, being basically shadowed by the fact that her family got destroyed by her father because he's a psycho. So the fact that that kind of tension, I guess, in her mind of like, man, if anybody finds out, who I really am and all of that, that kind of permeates throughout the entire novel. That was pretty good. It kind of made me like, I feel bad for her. I relate to her. At the same time, it gives you that kind of like, I am kind of suspicious of you. even though you are the main character. I don't know, maybe, I psycho, right? So which turned out to be, the guy. So, there was a lot of fun to be had. I would, if overall, you enjoy movies like Scream, I think this is definitely a great book to go on. And in fact, I could see this being made into a movie. Like
that's actually what I was just telling her. That if this book was actually made into a movie, hour and a half or maybe almost 2 hour flick, I would totally watch it 10 out of 10. It would just be something that I would enjoy thoroughly, especially with a lot of the twists and turns and how all this tension builds up. It's just very, very interesting, and it felt like this is almost script material for it to be on the big screen.
Yeah. Overall, I had a lot of fun. So I don't know. I guess for now, with the rating system, if we are gonna do one, I'm gonna give it like a 4 out of 5. Stars. 4 out of 5. I feel like I had a good time. Please, Tiffany, tell us, what did you hate? You big fat hater.
I put a 2.
Okay, a 2. Okay.
Because Scream is my favorite movie, and I did not like this book.
Okay, like when I say Scream, I don't mean like it was made by Wes Craven.
Wes Craven.
Yeah, so it's like it's more like I feel like I can get that kind of contemporary vibe that I got off of Scream, and overall I don't think it would be as good of a movie. Like I definitely agree with you. Like Scream's up there, but hey, they made like 5 and 6. Maybe it's like on that level of like, you kind of are doing the Scream thing when it's like not as good as the heyday of Scream, So that's kind of how I see it. But
that would mean that our average rating is like a 3.5.
Yeah, and I think that's actually probably fair for if you're going off like the stars and stuff of like Goodreads or whatever. So overall.
Well, that's the rating overall between us four.
Yeah, between the four of us, we would divide all four together.
Yeah. I think it is rated around like 4 on Goodreads though. So I mean,
I think it was like 3.6 or 7, something like
But
that.
again, that's still very close to par with what
I can look it up.
our group has it as.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so at this point, let's just go into the spoilers of like the book and just kind of reveal all the little secrets of the handyman. So yeah, Nora is spoilers by the way. So obviously, if you didn't read the book, you don't want to know what happens. Get the fuck out of here. Thank you. Bye bye. Love you. Like, comment, subscribe, whatever.
Yeah.
So basically, Nora, she's a surgeon, and she's a very good surgeon.
In Seattle.
Yeah, in Seattle. That was
originally from Oregon.
Oh, yeah, was it Seattle or San Francisco? Because I remember a part of the story that.
She traveled. At this point, it's spoilers. So
okay, well, she's a surgeon in a big city.
Yeah, she's surgeon in a big city.
But she's originally from Oregon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
I remember her saying that she had to go to college in Oregon.
Yeah. So her father's imprisoned in Oregon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So I think she's from. Oh, I know where she's from. San Jose. She's from San Jose. So yeah, because she eventually takes a trip to meet her father, which she has not seen since the gruesome murders that he, portrays.
Was it like 25 or 20 some odd years?
Like 26 years. And Nora's in her 30s, I think like late 30s, like 36, 7, stuff like that. And so yeah, she's a great surgeon. She is a little weird. She's odd.
Her commentary throughout the book, you're like, you could be a serial killer. You could. It's possible.
So basically, what happens is she is in a practice with a colleague. The colleague seems to be a little bit older, and he is as good of a surgeon, if not better than her, supposedly.
Yeah, Philip.
Yeah. So like her colleague, I forgot his name, but
Philip.
Philip.
Yeah.
He and her have an actual bet going on of who can do the most surgeries in a year, which is a horrible thing for a surgeon to do.
Really unethical.
Really bad.
How many people can he put under the knife?
Yeah, exactly. So basically, she runs a practice. There's a couple of reoccurring characters. I believe one nurse and what is it called? A receptionist. That are pretty much, and then she goes to the hospital every so often to do whatever, and she visits a bar after work. She just needs.
Bar's name is Christopher's, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, she needs a stiff drink. It's the same one that her father used to drink.
Old fashioned.
That she's very particular about how it's made.
Yeah.
Not uncommon of serial killers of being very particular about how things are done.
Yeah, she's very detached, even with like the bar scenes and stuff. She's like, hopefully she doesn't get harassed or talked to, but she keeps visiting one bar because there's this one guy, and this one guy turns out to be a long lost flame that she once had, but she couldn't remember for a while who the fuck this guy was. Only that, he was handsome.
Brady.
Which also kind of gives me that Scream vibe of what's her name's boyfriend from Scream.
Oh, Billy Loomis.
Yeah, Billy Loomis, because it was the whole thing of was it Billy? With the killings and stuff, right? As the Scream guy. So it was kind of the same idea, because there were a lot of red herrings in this book, where it's like it could be the surgeon partner, who's also kind of fucking weird.
So who was your first thought? Who was your first? Who did it?
Oh man, I think my first one was probably like it could be her. Like she could have like a split personality. Because, dude, when her parents, her father was the serial killer and he got put away or whatever, her mother hung herself after the fact. She was like, she couldn't bear it, I guess. But there is more to that story we'll get into. And so, yeah, I thought it was her, just split personality. What about you, Tiffany?
Yeah, I definitely thought it was her at first. She was very much checked all the boxes.
Yeah. How about you, John?
I agree, and the reason why is because in the first few chapters, how she describes her day-to-day routine, where she goes, how late she leaves, everything, it made it seem like, yes, there is a meticulous pattern that she follows. And like you said, a lot of serial killers go through these regimented patterns and they have these consistencies. And when she was describing her trip from her job to the bar and then to home, it made it seem like there's a possibility that there could be lapses in memory for her. So it started to make me think like, well, maybe she doesn't recall that she might be doing these type of heinous things as well. But obviously down the book, that's when we figure out more. But it could have led down that route where maybe she was actually the killer and she was either hiding it very well or she didn't know she was doing it because of some unknown thing, whether it be supernatural or psychological, health-wise. There could have been so many other factors.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there was even a line like towards the beginning where she said that her dad wanted to be a surgeon, but he didn't have the grades for it, and then it's revealed to us that she is a surgeon, and so I was like, oh, okay, are you continuing his legacy, or are you like, oh, I'm not gonna get caught?
Yeah. So her dad was a phlebotomist.
Mm-hmm.
That's a word.
Yeah.
It definitely doesn't give you what the fuck that is in the name. It's basically the person who draws blood. So that's what he was. So he's like less than a surgeon, because like you said, he couldn't make it. So basically, it gives a lot of red herrings, and also the boy. So what happens later is she keeps going back to the bar, but the one of the nights she gets followed. Now at first she had an encounter at the bar where, from a patient that she had saved, but this guy was like coming on strong. He was super drunk, whatever. And so at one point she's leaving and she gets followed and she's like, who the fuck is this? She kind of, but she's so meticulous and like fucking like, what is it called? Very sneaky.
Evasive.
Yeah, very, very. So basically, she's driving along and it's dark, but she knows the road so well, and she plans out that if she makes this turn at this junction here at just the right moment, she can get away from this guy following her from the bar, and that's what happens. She gets away, and the guy slams into a tree, like just flat out. Like
that was the second time that she was followed, correct?
Yeah, it was the second time.
time.
It was the second time. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I think one of them she kind of like drove around a little bit.
She drove to the police station.
And the car just dipped.
Right. So that kind of gave her like the heebie-jeebies. But she thought it was the guy that came on to her in the bar like a couple of weeks back from the first time.
Her patient.
Yeah, her patient, right? So she thought she had like messed him up because he was like full on wrecked, and I think she even searched for it to see what had happened.
Yeah, that was later on in the book for sure. But I remember in particular what the time was it the same patient or was this a different patient where they went to her practice and she suspected that the wife was being abused. It was a different patient. It was a different patient. Okay. Yeah, you're right.
That was a hernia repair, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I remember that.
Yeah. So
Callahan, right?
No, Callahan was
the one that was following, or that we thought was following her initially, or that Nora thought was following her. Then I don't remember the other person thing. I could have sworn it was Callahan, but yeah, good. I digress.
So basically, after that, she goes back to her practice. She does her normal, routinely, stuff. In fact, I think that's when that couple comes in. The husband that has a really bad temper, and the wife who seems to be like, has a black eye and is like frightened of her husband. And Nora is like, hey, to the wife secretly with a letter or a note or something. Basically like,
are you okay? Basically, yeah.
Are you okay? And at that point, the wife says, yeah, all's good. She kind of gives the nod, that I'm fine. Don't. But we learn later more about that couple. And so after that, she gets, I believe she gets a visit from the cop first, right? That's how she first.
The detective, yeah.
The detective. So the detective comes in and is like, hey, I kind of need to talk to you. One of your patients was murdered, basically. And it seems that the murders, the reason why the detective came, he knows Nora off the jump that she is the daughter which, by the way, she changed her last name. She tried to hide. She tried to, just distance herself. After her father and mother were gone, she was taken in by her grandmother, and I guess she adopted the grandmother's name. I don't know if that was ever said.
That's what she said.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So basically, and from there, she gets questioned by the detective because there's obviously a link to her father, the handyman. It looks like that. Yeah, their hands missing basically, and also her patience. Like,
and I think, was she like the last one to see the last patient?
Yes.
Or
Something like that.
Yeah, she was always apparently the last one to see the patients before they died.
Yeah.
So at this point, how do you guys feel about like Nora and all of that? Do you because at this point I think that's kind of like, I wasn't like trying to put all the blame that it's probably definitely like Nora because the whole thing at the bar and the way she was kind of handling those situations, she seems like she's pretty cold-blooded. Like she's very like comes off like her dad, like very much so.
So
but I do want to add, she did ask about that woman, and it was kind of like the wife of the wife beater, that are you okay kind of thing. So it's a very odd like split in terms of like her personality. Like she's cool with just fucking up a guy on a side of a road over there, now sort of by accident, and then on the other hand, she's also like very
saving this domestic violence.
Like what's going on? Like, yeah.
So
what do you guys think?
My first thought was Nora, but my very second thought was Philip, because he was like charismatic. He was coming on to everybody. He seemed to like have a like really big personality.
Right. Philip is the surgeon. Her surgeon.
Yeah, that she partnered with.
And we should say he's very flirty. I think he nails and bags every single nurse that he ever comes in contact with. I think that's his big thing. I don't know. Do they ever mention in the book whether or not he has a type?
No, they didn't.
Okay. Because the big thing with the handyman, right? Because the big thing with the handyman is that everybody...
Dark hair, blue eyes.
Right, dark hair, blue eyes.
Right. So. Philip didn't have a type. The handyman did.
Yeah. But he is a red herring in this book.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because he also has access to all the patient records.
Yeah.
But that was really where I was going. He's charismatic. He seems to be really interested in the receptionist. He seems to be really curious about what's happening with the detective. But like, who wouldn't be? If you have a partner with somebody, would you not be interested to know why they're being investigated? But also, because he has that charismatic personality, you start to think, like, is he like a Ted Bundy type,
Yeah.
Could he be that type of person that lures them in and then offs them?
Yeah.
And it seemed like all of the victims matched the handyman, which the handyman was looking for. Yep. Dark hair, blue eyes, attractive women, right? That was my first thought. And, like, I was just a little suspicious about him from the beginning.
Yeah.
But definitely a red herring.
Yeah, his like personality, he came off as very type A, Yeah. So it's even funny that Nora would even entertain being in the same practice as this guy. She comes off as like not a person that would, humor him, but she has been humoring him for so long.
She seems like a person to be independent. Like she would never be in a practice with someone else.
Well, and also there was like the fact that like he hounded her to like start a practice with him too. So if he knew who her father was, then that would also make sense.
Yeah, like he purposely sought her out.
Yeah.
Which is what she thought when
But I will say that breadcrumb of purposely seeking her out and stuff is like at the very like last end half.
Yeah.
Which kind of leads to like, well, this isn't as strong of a story because like John was saying before, like some of the characters are kind of underdeveloped, half-baked, but at the same time they're like there's so much emphasis is put on like, well, they could be the problem, they could be the killer. But yeah, I mean that's why this book is not fucking 5 out of 5.
So it's 4 out of 5 for at least 3 of us.
Yeah.
I think Brady was the least developed red herring, though.
Brady being the bartender.
The bartender.
The pacifier, all
I
that
think he
stuff.
was the least developed red herring because, like, we have no reason to believe that he would do something heinous. In my opinion.
I kind of disagree, but that kind of develops further in the book because again, you get a little bit of Philip, you get a little bit of Harper, you get a little bit of everybody else.
Get
I feel like
more of Brady. Yeah.
Yeah, we get to hear a lot more about Brady.
We get to hear a lot more about him, but we don't really get like any reason to believe that he's a heinous person until all of a sudden she believes that he is.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we should talk a little bit more about Brady and who he is, like because like he kind of is a pretty big part of the book. So basically, yeah, she keeps going back to that bar. She had kind of at this point started chatting a lot more with Brady and kind of developing some feelings, like at least like she wanted to bang him.
Once she realized who he was.
Yeah, so he's an old flame back from college, and Nora eventually kind of gets into the idea of like being with him again and stuff, and so they head back to his place because Nora does not want anybody coming over to her place. She's just like very suspicious of everybody all the time. So they do end up going back to her place. But more or less, she's still can't figure out who he is until he kind of like I guess pushes her toward who he was. Or I kind of don't remember.
No, if I recall correctly, it's when she kind of pushes the boundary a little bit, and that started with the first time that he invited her.
Yeah, but how did
was it after they had sex?
It was more or less the second time that they did it. The second time.
Because she remembered who he was?
No. So the first time she remembered who he was, and that's because of the conversation Philip talked after sex, and they were talking about. Oh God, I can't remember what they were talking about, but there was a key phrase of an actor or an actress of a movie that they enjoyed that he mentioned, and that instantly brought a memory back.
I remember.
Yeah, it was a horror movie. Was it Scream?
No. It was Halloween.
Oh, it was Halloween. Yes, you're right. It was Halloween.
That she looked like that. She reminded him of Laurie Strode or something.
Yeah,
Laurie Strode.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
And that kind of like jogged the memory of when they were together back in college, and she was digging through his closet, like cause he had a bunch of masks, different like horror characters, and found a mask of her father.
Yeah,
there, which is why she just freaked out and ended that relationship the following day.
Yeah. And also mention that Brady is very at that time he was very into those kinds of like
movies. I mean, they both were.
And they both were, and that's kind of where they connected too. But at the same time, she was like repulsed by her own feelings, I guess, of being into it. But especially after seeing the father's mask, she was like, I pulled that ripcord. I think they only also dated for like 3 months. It wasn't like
it was only 3 months.
Yeah. It wasn't a very long relationship. So anyway, after they copulate the relationship, I think that's the right way. And they go back. She's like, I'm out of here. But also, there was also a locked door. And by the way, the book's title is The Locked Door. And there is a big reason why, but we haven't really talked about that yet. But the locked door in Brady's apartment, kind of gave her flashbacks to her childhood too, because her father, basically his whole, murder room was in the basement, and that door was always locked. But there was a very strong scent of lavender. Emanating from the basement and stuff, and she was always very curious and always pushing the boundary to like maybe find out what's going on down there. Now there's also stuff about her that was coming out at the same time where she was she couldn't keep a pet, and you know how serial killers are with their pets, and she's not a serial killer, but she couldn't keep her mice, and the reason was, I guess, she was like murdering them. We never really got the full picture. We just got eventually the father is like, I knew you were like me kind of thing.
That was later on in the book.
I do wish we had more development on that. Like, a little bit more conversation about what was actually happening to the mice, because all we really got was we were burying them.
Honestly, when that whole thing was coming up, I thought she was just losing them, and I thought that the mouse would just run down into the basement, and she would like go after it, and like that kind of whole thing, and then she would find out, oh my god, my father's the handyman or whatever.
Imagine it being gruesome, like more gruesome than it is already, where like the mice escape and go to the basement, and maybe the mice are like nipping at his victims. That's why you hear the muffled screams all the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that'd be interesting.
Something like that. Like they could have added that kind of thing. And I should also mention that she hadn't had any pets, I think, since then. But over time, a cat started to appear at her door.
She befriended a cat.
She befriended a cat, and she was just feeding it. And for the majority of the book, it's not really a big deal. He's just kind of in the background. She's just feeding it. He won't leave, kind of thing. And it's an outdoor cat at first, but eventually gets inside the house, and she kind of lets him. And so I'll just leave it at that for now. But yeah, so that was her flashbacks to the past, the locked door in the house for her father, which had obviously a workroom. She's getting harassed by a detective who thinks that people are appearing with missing hands, and it's like people that she's taken care of as a surgeon. Mm-hmm. And so all of that kind of like repulses her from Brady. She's terrified of Brady at this point, I think, because she I guess she knows she's not the killer. Even though we're kind of like still, I don't know, are you not the killer?
Yeah, she's kind of an unreliable narrator.
Yeah, a little bit, right? So she leaves. I know at one point the landlady basically also warns her. It's like, I hear.
Well, it's the elderly one, the old decrepit crypt keeper over there. Yeah,
she was the landlord.
The old decrepit landlady. She's like above hearing screams coming from Brady's apartment. So she tries to warn her like a couple of times at least. So anyway, she gets the fuck out of there. But another patient appears to have died. And the cop keeps on pushing. Hey, it's getting serious now. I need more info. Get me some of the, some files. But also he's like prodding and trying to get all this information out of her. Now, at this point, at some point, I remember that one of her cups goes missing, and I thought the cop was the one who took the cup to do a DNA test. Because it's in the office. I
think it's, the officer handed her something. She held on to it, and then he took it back. I remember that part. But the person that took the mug was Philip initially. It was a whole dispute about her drinking too much coffee.
No, she thought it was Philip.
Well, yes, but at the time, that's where that mindset kind of was.
Yeah,
but I could have sworn he actually...
It wasn't Philip.
No, he did take the cup initially.
It was,
definitely did.
But the thing is, the idea is that eventually we'll get to the whole reason for the cup and stuff. But so anyway, this cup goes missing. She's getting harassed by the detective. Another patient is dead and limbless or handless, whatever. So yeah, she's kind of like skeeved out by everything. She's skeeved out by Brady. At this point in the book, I believe that. Well, I don't know. Do you guys remember kind of where we are? Like, has she?
Well, I feel like we kind of bounced around a little bit in regards to what happened.
It bounces around, and also like we should go back to her childhood, because throughout all of this we do get like scenes of her childhood, specifically aside from the mouse and some of the family drama. There's a whole thing with childhood.
Marjorie.
Marjorie and her, and the bullying, and the nice little natural road or park area.
Yeah. So the classmate Marjorie, she gets bullied by this like bitch. I believe her name's Tiffany.
I don't know. Was it actually?
I don't know.
I think it might have been Stephanie.
I don't remember.
Well, we can go back, but I mean, I'll just say it. I'm putting it out there, Tiffany. I don't know.
Well, so Tiffany, like, since you've kind of been a little bit on the quieter side about this for like the past few minutes, so far at the point where we're at, let's just highlight.
Tiffany,
It was Tiffany. No shit. Rip. Rip. But
That's all right.
So the very first question I have for you is, why the hell did you bully her so much?
Yeah, right. What's wrong with you? What's with all the spitballs?
Was it the limp? Was it the limp?
Some of us waddle. It's okay.
Was it because of her hair?
She just had it coming.
She had it coming.
But no, in all honesty, so far outside of the flashbacks, because I'm sure we're gonna dive into that here in a second. What else do you feel was critical in the story's development when you read it? Like with Nora, with Philip, with Brady, the detective, all that stuff.
I don't know. I mean, the scene with Marjorie with the whole, like, her hunting her, that was more evidence as to her as the killer.
So much out of that. I wanted so much. And it
was just so built up, and then just...
Yeah, so like every other chapter, or every other chapter, basically there was a flashback to her past and Marjorie specifically, aside from her father's stuff, and you know, Nora kind of plays it as like she wants to protect Marjorie from Tiffany, who keeps bullying her like relentlessly. So she decides to say, "Hey, Marjorie, listen, why don't we meet up in secret?" And hang out. Wouldn't you love that? You don't have any friends, you fucking bitch. And Marjorie's like, yeah, that'd be great because you know I don't have any friends. This is awesome. So she comes up with the idea of like, well, Marjorie's like, well, let's go play Barbies. And
what are you 5? Let's go to some big girl stuff. Let's go to the woods.
Yeah, basically. which also reminded me of Michael Myers. Like, you know, his like whole thing with the woods, like especially if you saw like the 2015, 16, I don't know, the first Halloween that Rob Zombie did, because he went really deep into kid Michael.
Well, I would say like Michael Myers or like Jason Voorhees, like with Crystal Lake and all that stuff, like going around those kind of environments.
Yeah, so she asked Marjorie to go meet her after school. Don't tell your parents, kind of thing. So they both meet up, and again, this is happening between chapters, and like Tiffany said, like it basically devolves into like, listen, we're gonna play a cool game. You've never heard of it before? It's called a hunter prey, and you're gonna be the prey, bitch. And so run, I'll give you a head start. And Marjorie just does it. She's just like, all right.
She hobbles her after she, you know, told her to take off her shoes and her socks like a weirdo. Like, take your shoes and your socks off.
I mean, the author obviously wanted you to think that this lady is like a
she's experimenting with her first skill, but with how that kind of played out, that was after she found out Daddy's little secret in the basement. That's the reason why after the father came back out and then kind of basically, you know, like, I knew you'd find this eventually. I kind of want to bring you into the fold. I want to teach you these things. So her befriending this other classmate and then having her go through this very scary scenario for her, that obviously showed that she wanted to see how it felt. She wanted to see if she had the courage to actually kill somebody.
Yeah. So we should actually go back a little bit, because you're right. I completely forgot about that. That there's the whole thing also with her dad and the lavender smell and the basement. She actually does eventually end up in the middle of the night going down into the basement.
The door's unlocked as their parents are fighting.
We're arguing about her being weird.
Being a weirdo. So she gets downstairs. She finds a cage that's completely covered, but she's hearing like noises out of it, and she finds a girl, dark hair, blue eyes, that's been missing. I believe the next morning, her father comes downstairs, finds her there at the cage. They come up together. Everything's copacetic. It's all cool. Just go to sleep, honey. It's all good.
Yeah, but she was like, he literally asked her like, or said like he wanted to teach you things. Like, would you like that? And she basically agreed that she would.
Which is also really fucking weird. Okay, so at this point it's like, oh, okay. But anyway, the next morning she's watching the TV. Early in the morning, finds that the girl, the specific girl that is missing, that's in the basement, I guess, on the TV, like, you know. And I believe even her mom, she asked her mom about it.
Her mom walked up and saw her watching the news after the dad saw her watching the news and then left. The mom came up soon after, and then that's when she saw news and then she puked.
Yeah. And I should mention about the mom, the dad is kind of a dickhead to her.
Yeah, always complaining about her weight and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Always eating, getting big, all that good stuff. Very, very very shitty towards her.
Yeah, and from what we understand with the mom, she's actually very nice. She like is making big treats and stuff, right? And all's good there. But yeah, then afterwards, what you said, it goes into the story of like Marjorie and stuff. And whether or not, so Marjorie falls over, she twists her ankle, she has a knife on her, and she was thinking about it, and then she doesn't. She instead helps Marjorie up, and they leave. But this is like really climax area. This is like
near the end.
Yeah, and so prior to that, which again it kind of jumps back because she does meet her father too.
She takes the flight.
She takes the flight to Portland or Oregon, somewhere in Oregon, and she meets her dad, and you know she hasn't seen him for like 26 years or whatever.
She keeps getting the letters from him though.
Oh yeah, that's right. There's that whole other side.
And that's peppered in throughout the whole story.
Always a letter.
Continuously getting letters.
And she never read any of them.
She just tears them up.
And one of the reasons is also like her grandmother, whenever she got those letters, threw them out and was like, "Hey, when you're 18, you're your own business." But the grandmother was also like really turned off by Nora. She was like, "You are a fucking killer. I know you are." And this is the mom of the mother, not the father. And so so it goes back to the dad. And he's basically like, you know, you're just like a killer like me. You got the instinct, you know, that's all in you, baby. You know, that kind of thing. And
he basically says she's doing it. He believes that she's doing it.
Yeah.
That was like farther in on that visit.
When she meets him.
When she meets him, like, you're the one that killed the two girls. Basically saying like, how about you talk about it? I know you did it.
Yeah, and that whole meeting with the dad, in the jail cell, I believe she even calls the penitentiary and she asks, has anybody been meeting him?
And they were like, scoff, no.
Yeah, which is weird because, you know, with the ending of the book, there was definitely...
Well, are we jumping to the ending right now?
There are some plot holes that we could...
Oh God, this is a ghost.
I'm not sure of where those two met up and how. You know what it is? I think it's the letters. I think she did open those letters. So maybe she didn't meet, but maybe they were like, you know, letter. Okay. Well, before that, let's just cap it off here. Where she comes back from the penitentiary, she's like, "I'll never be like you, Daddy." And
he took the phone and he's like, "Pick up the phone!" I'm like, what is that? No, just hangs up and just leaves.
Yeah. And so she flies back. She gets back to her car, and it's rank. There is something gone off inside of her car. And, you know, she eventually pulls over. She's, like, sweating bullets when she finds out that it is a dead...
it was at a gas station when she was getting some gas.
But she doesn't open it because she thinks that there could.
No, she didn't. She didn't open it at the gas station. She asked the attendant to.
The attendant.
And then she went to the back to open it up to see.
But she doesn't open it all the way. She saw that there was like fabric in there, and then she closed it so that like he didn't see what it was because she wasn't sure what it was.
No, she knew what it was.
Well,
like she didn't know what it was severed ends, but she knew it was something dead. She's like, I'm not gonna do this right here, right now. I'm gonna go home and clear out the car and see what the hell it actually is, which ended up all over scrubs and all that stuff, blood, and then there it is, Edward Severhand, right there chilling.
Edward Severhand, yep. Yeah, and well, Tiffany, where does it go from there?
I honestly don't remember. I feel like I don't know. I feel like there's the whole thing with her finding Philip.
So I was gonna add. I think what happens next is that she wants to get a security system installed.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Because she's
Wait, can we go back to the severed hand for a second?
Yeah.
Like,
Which one?
The one that's in the car.
There's a few.
She's talking about how she doesn't want DNA evidence, and she doesn't. If this does get found, she doesn't want them to think that it's her, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then she wraps it in her own scrubs.
Mm-hmm.
And the entire time, I'm like, your DNA is on those scrubs.
Yeah.
Yeah, not only, and what's
That
funny...
was driving me crazy.
So what was funny about that is the fact that after she dumped the garbage or the bag into the garbage behind the Carl Jr.,
Yeah.
and after she met the volcano face that was the employee over there,
Yeah.
and she's driving back, she started to think about all of the stuff that you're thinking about right now about that, and you're like, you're a dunce. You're a complete dunce. I understand you're scared, but you're a dunce.
Like, you're over here talking about how you don't want to get caught, you don't want anything, like, you don't want people to think that it's you, and then you wrapped it in your own scrubs.
Which I think might have been intentional to start to show that she may not be behind it at all, because she may have some of the tact that her father has, but she's also making sloppy mistakes. So she might not be as...
Yeah, but I think that's sloppy writing. I think that is sloppy writing to a certain extent.
I mean, this is also very true. This is also very true.
Tiffany, the hater, please.
Also,
If you were...
just the fact that like she lets the detective come into her house.
Oh God, it's a ghost.
I live with other people.
I mean, it's a ghost with beats.
Hi.
Yeah, she just lets him come in and look around her house, and it's like, you're very lucky that he didn't go down in the basement where there was the blood spatter, but like, that's not like, you wouldn't do that. You just don't let people come into your house.
So there were two more things that I think happened right before the trip to Oregon and stuff that we forgot to mention. So one of the things was that her car got jacked up. Like
Tires got slashed up.
Yeah, while she was at Brady's house.
No. That's when she was working. She was still working.
Yeah.
It was because a patient.
But Brady was there. He came.
Brady was there, but the reason why supposedly her tires got slashed by somebody is because of that interaction that she had with the mother of one of the patients that was murdered recently.
Yeah.
And she knew who Nora was. Yeah. And that's when the whole, oh shit, the facade is crumbling down. Someone knows, and she threatened to go to the media and all that stuff. Like, oh shit, my life's about to fall apart.
Emotional pressure for her.
Yeah, so I would say there are three things that we forgot before she went to Oregon.
I mean, there's quite a few more, but let's keep it going.
Yeah. Okay, let's just focus on these three things. I think the first big thing is that she gets harassed by the mother. Well, at first she's trying to kind of discover a little bit more about all these patients that have gone like murdered and all of that, because she kind of remembers them but not really. So she looks into them. I don't know if the clues about the hair color and the eye color come into focus at that point, but yeah, they are all like dark hair, blue eyed. And so the next thing is that she does get confronted by the mother, like John was saying, and after that heated confrontation, because she's just like, no, you are the handyman's daughter. You are the handyman too, of this electric boogaloo, and you killed my daughter. So basically, that cat is funny. And so basically, she's heading toward her car. She gets stopped by Brady, and Brady's like, "Yo, baby, listen, I'm cool." And she's like,
and then that's after the whole spat about him not revealing that he had a daughter. Yeah, that's when that
was behind the locked door. That was behind.
Yeah, that was behind it. It was a child's bedroom. It was for his daughter, and that was the second time they decided to have coitus. And after the fact, she went to go to the bathroom, but she said, "Nah, let me look at this door." And guess what? Just like a triggering memory, the door wasn't locked this time, just like how the basement door wasn't locked the first time she went down there. So, but then when she butts it open, we got the little suspense, like, next time in Dragon Ball Z, but we go to the next chapter and we find out what it actually was. was that it was just their daughter's room. He had a photo of it and all that stuff. And she got upset because he didn't disclose that, but he also had a solid point, like, well, we dated for a small period of time in college, and we just kind of reconnected again. I kind of don't want you to be completely involved in my life because I don't know where this is going to go.
Yeah, and like he's just got a divorce, right? And he doesn't want
that.
Yeah.
Also, she's very evasive, so like he has no reason to trust her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but she's the narrator, so we're kind of like in her world, in her head.
Yeah.
So, and also she's like suspicious of everybody and all that stuff, so it's kind of like throwing us off because he could be lying, right? They're kind of writing it as if he is lying, because I believe the booster seat that's supposedly never boosted in his car.
Yeah, it was never there.
Yeah, so it's kind of like, there's still like suspicions about.
There's not a single reliable character in the whole book.
Yeah,
which throws off the trail a lot.
And like again, his landlady, I believe they have another confrontation about Brady and what's going on upstairs, and he hears screaming or whatever. Or she hears screaming upstairs. And her like daughter or something, the landlady's daughter comes over and is like, oh, don't listen to her, she's got dementia, she's just fucking crazy, like old people.
My mom is schizophrenic. Don't worry about her, just usher her inside. She likes her rocking chair and likes her soap operas at 9 o'clock before she starts losing her mind.
Yeah, and honestly, at that point, I just thought maybe, maybe he's just he's just watching horror movies. Like the guy's a freak. Now, he did say he is off horror movies. He's like not interested in them anymore. That was one of the things that also stood.
But then he said he also likes Del Toro, right?
Yeah, Del Toro, right? So no, not Del Toro.
No, it wasn't Del Toro. Quentin Tarantino, Del Toro. Tarantino. I'm thinking about something completely different. My bad.
Yeah. Well, that's a horror movie, but it's like in a different horror.
Yeah, they're different. Yes. The realm of horror is there. I just get them mixed up sometime.
Yeah. Well, anyway, Tarantino.
Tarantino like a western?
No, he's action western. Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. Well, I mean, there is Planet Terror. He did do that. But
we're not here to focus on other people's other. I thought he froze for a second.
No, I'm not frozen. I was just listening to your. What? I was listening to you.
But
anyway,
what made it interesting? I'm sorry. What made it interesting is the fact that with the buildup of Brady and how involved he was
with the whole car thing,
with the car thing and helping out, like taking the key, helping her out with making sure the car got fixed, making sure he brought her home.
He offered to
but also the history with him liking slasher movies and horror movies and all that stuff, having the masks, finding the father's mask, all that stuff. And like having that secret door and all this, it made you start to think like maybe he might be a copycat because maybe he idolized her father. Maybe he found out who her father was, and he wanted to do the copycat and found out who she was. And like, oh shit, I want to get back in bed with her because I idolized her father, and this would be like perfect.
Yeah.
I think what could have been an interesting twist though is if he wanted to draw her in to being like with his killing. Like if he was the killer, then if he would have been like, oh, I tried to get back together with you so that we can do this together. And like just go through like a weird, insane kind of like
What do you think, Tiffany? Do you feel like that rings true to like certain horror movies?
I mean, yeah.
Like which one pops out the most from you for that one?
I mean, well, like the most recent thing is like the You series on Netflix.
Oh yeah. What was the guy? That series is over, right?
Joe Goldberg. No, it's got one more season.
Oh, okay. It's stalker, right? It's basically just like stalking kind of stuff. Yeah. Is he a serial killer in that series? Is that the idea?
Yeah.
Yes, but he wasn't intending in the beginning.
Oh, he kind of fell into it.
He's like he doesn't see it as him doing wrong.
Oh, so like kind of like a Dexter.
No. He's delusional.
Yeah.
Well, Dexter.
He's like a delusional stalker, basically.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's like, I have to do this because if I don't do this, then like I'm putting a disservice kind of thing.
Yeah, it's a humbled.
It's not really Dexter though. It's like more.
No, Dexter has a
more
different
delusional
side of moralities, if you want to call it that. No, yeah, I mean, again, when it comes down to the whole book thing, it just feels very interesting with how, like I said, Brady was one of the more vivid
But
characters.
he was set up to be the red herring.
Mhm.
I think from middle of the book on, he's set up to be the red herring.
Well, no, because Philip comes into like his own toward the end of the book too, where basically she starts calling Philip, her partner, and being like, "Hey, listen, I need your help here. I need you to do this or whatever." And he overhears her call to the what is it called, the
security company.
right? And the security company's like, "Listen, we can't really get anybody out," but she's like, "No, I need this today. I'll pay the extra."
Yeah, that's after she was done with the surgery and she was on the phone and he kind of walked up from his own surgery.
Yeah, and
talked to her about it.
And you know, and also the idea of Nora's like whole life being revealed and stuff does kind of affect him too, because it's like, you know, once you know, people find out that, oh, you know, this surgeon is the handy. And by the way, she really likes surgery, like more than most people should. She likes cutting people and playing with them inside. Mm-hmm. She even there was another guy that came in that was like, I hate you because you did a surgery to me that was not even necessary. I got a second opinion and you fucking sliced me open for no reason. You just wanted to make a surgery, and I heard about your stupid fucking bet with this surgeon.
Yeah.
So he was gonna sue her too. So she had a lawsuit. She had the cop. She had this grieving mother. Like there's a lot of pressure on Nora right now.
So. Which could also put into perspective the other possible avenues of someone else doing the killings that are obscure characters, like those three were.
Yeah.
Or those two were, like the mother of the deceased patient, or the angry guy. Like it could have been any of them as well, because they're grieving and they're upset. It could have been something that's vengeful and like, I want to get you caught up in some bullshit. Like there were a lot of avenues, and that's what made the book more interesting, because it reinforced the fact that you don't know who the fuck it's going to be.
Yeah, so I should also we should try to add the receptionist into this. I forgot her name already.
Harper.
Okay, listen. So Harper, she's barely a figure. She's barely a figure in 2/3 of the book, if not even to the very last chapter, really.
Yeah.
But basically the idea was that Harper is a receptionist. She came in as a new receptionist. She kind of took over, and she's been amazing. She's young, bright. I don't know when they described her physically in appearance.
Dark-haired, blue-eyed.
Yeah, sorta, and that's kind of it. But it really, no more than that. You really don't get breadcrumbs at all, in my opinion. And finally, you know, she was dating somebody, but she at one point, you know, comes into the office bawling her little eyes out. And by the way, Nora has taken such a liking to her that she took her under her wing and is like trying to push her into becoming a surgeon herself, you know, get her through all of that. And so she feels really bad for Harper. She really wants to help her. But once all these killings start happening, she's like worried about Harper, because Harper is dark-haired, blue-eyed. Like she might be next on the
chopping all the victims. Yep.
And connected to Nora. So it's like, oh no, you know, kind of thing. And so from after a little bit, Philip was told specifically not to talk to Harper. Leave Harper alone. You're a fucking, you know.
But he's an HR complaint waiting to happen.
No. He's got that dog in him. That's what it is.
He's got that dog in him. Right.
He was ready. The moment he was like, no, the thing was off. He was like, oh shit.
And guess what, guy? Yeah, he comes in and gets it. You know, he talks Harper into kind of like going out with him or whatever. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But prior to that, you know, Nora would give her like, you know, here's a syringe of like some fucking, I don't know, like some sort of like anesthetic.
No. She just gave her a flat out syringe with a long needle. Yeah, but it was with a long needle.
Yeah,
just in case.
The stab, I guess. And Harper's really sweet to her, to Nora specifically. They both have this like crazy bond, right? And so Nora, while visiting her father, is like, I'm sick. I can't come into work, Philip. Can you take care of everything for me, basically? And so when she goes visits her father and comes back to the office and stuff, you know, Harper over here has chicken soup waiting for her, kind of thing, which she takes.
In the Tupperware.
In Tupperware. So anyway, because you know she's like, oh, you were sick. Here you go. Make yourself feel better this way. So really sweet. That's all we get of Harper. That is literally everything I could possibly think of, right?
Yeah.
Like you just put her together as just a side character.
She's just like a kind little receptionist. You don't think that she really has any real
bearing to the story. Besides it, her possibly being the next victim. And that came off early, at least for me when I read it, that with the description, like, oh yeah, she's gonna get fucking axed.
Well, especially because, like I was saying, like Philip came into his own and being like another, like really, oh man, is it really because Philip could, but Nora is still a dude. I don't know because
yeah, because now you're seeing how how they all kind of mesh and how these inconsistencies or like these little bits of like gaps of well maybe this could be their doing because they know they're connected because of X, Y, Z. Like Philip knew about the surveillance system, knew about the lawyering and all that stuff, or it could have been Brady because, you know, in the past they had a fling and the whole masks and all that stuff. Like there were so many avenues that could have led to one of them is the killer. Yeah. And it could have been the detective as well because the detective was aware of who her father was. And when the murders started happening again, went directly to her the first time.
Right.
And it was like, I think it might be you because you know who your father is. I know who your father is. And I suspect that you might be behind this because he's still in jail. He could confirm that he's still in jail.
Right.
The only other person is you.
Yeah. So I should mention that Nora had been thinking about giving the detective those letters that kept on coming in, but she kept on like waving it away. No. And at one point, there in the basement there is a big pool of blood, but no body or anything. So someone has access to the house, and
it all started breaking down with the letter being slid underneath the door for the back door instead of the mailbox or the front door, wherever it got slid under there. And that's when a lot of it started.
To go see her dad.
Yeah, it started to break down that sense of security. Yeah. And that was always a suspenseful thing. At least for me, it made it interesting that every single time she came home, yelling out, "Honey, I'm home," not expecting an answer. But then, like, the small things happened, like thudding on the door was always the cat. But then one day, guess what? It wasn't the cat. Cat was gone. Puss in Boots was out doing something else. But the letter was there.
Also, that "Honey, I'm home" was like
that got old real fast.
That got old, and it was like very manic too. Like she's so cheerful, even though she's like fucking.
This isn't even her personality. Like, why are you even saying that kind of thing?
Yeah.
But it also kind of felt like maybe again, this is speculation on my end, but maybe the author was trying to play on that trope of she does this thing so many times that a strong deviation may occur that could set off a scene, like someone actually responds back or something like that. She's locked in the house. Like there could have been something. I felt like that could have been set up for that
at one point. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, we're at the point where she gets back to the house. She is freaked out. She's freaked out by Brady. She's freaked out by whatever happened to Harper or whatever, because basically Philip and Harper go out on the town.
Yeah, and she got freaked out by Brady because the neighbor's daughter confronted her about, like, he doesn't have a daughter.
Yeah, that's the big.
And then that's when the whole big scary scene.
Everything was like, oh, it was definitely Brady at that point.
Yeah.
So she rushes back to her house. She tries. She was supposed to get the security system in, but supposedly she calls or she gets a voicemail and finds out that it was canceled. But who would
someone
know?
canceled it. We're sorry to hear about your inconvenience. That we rescheduled the Monday at 8.
Yeah. So Philip. So who at this point it's like it's all the juggling balls in the air. So she gets in, and at some point she sits down and eats that chicken noodle soup that she got from Harper.
She slurped that shit.
Because she never had any food in her house. She was always at
running
work.
around, yeah, always forgetting to eat.
She had more cat food than she had regular food.
Yeah.
So the cat's basically living in the house or whatever, and I believe at some point something draws her to the basement. I don't remember what it was though.
It was a cat. There's a cat.
Yeah, it was the cat. Okay, cool. So basically, she heads down into the basement. And she's looking around, and she can't. By this point, she can't reach Philip. She can't reach Harper. She gets to the basement, and I guess she turns on the light, and she sees Philip.
Yep, it was just a chair there, and that's how that chapter ended. Before we got to the next chapter, to reveal who it was. That is what was very interesting because the chair is there, but who's sitting into it, and then the following chapter reveals like it's actually not Harper. It's Philip.
Yeah, Philip.
And I'm like, oh, you plot twist, motherfucker! How dare you?
Yeah, and his hand is like hanging by like tendons off him, which is pretty. Which again would be a really cool scene in a movie.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So she's feeling woozy. She's like out of it. You know, she's kind of falling over herself because of the chicken soup. Who gave her the soup? Harper. So Harper turns out to be the ultimate villain here. I believe. Does she even? She has a gun on her.
She came strapped.
Yeah. So I
don't need that syringe for protection. I got a Glock.
Yeah, basically. And the big reveal. This is where the villain says the whole plot of like their big plot, right? So basically, she is her sister. Her mother was pregnant. That's why she was throwing up prior.
Why she was
gaining weight, eating a lot, throwing up, and being weird. And
she was arrested with her father because she was under the suspicion of helping. Because it is kind of hard to believe how he got away with like murder in the basement of their house.
Remember the flashback when she was in the principal's office with the officer?
I think that's when it happens. This all happens right around this time.
Yeah, that was very interesting because, again, the author even annotated, like, the principal and the officer seemed puzzled because when they said that her parents were arrested and she was, like, not showing any emotion at all. And then that's when Nora asked, well, did this victim that I saw in the basement in the cage where Daddy kept her, and did she make him? Like, nah, that's when she fucking balled out, which could have reinforced, like, maybe she still is a bit fucked in the head.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So she's the one who dropped the dime on her dad, basically. Mm-hmm. You know, got him arrested. So in the end, Harper is her sister. I guess like she gave birth. I don't know how exactly she came.
That was a big plot hole. Like we never really figured out how the mother just like gave birth but also killed herself.
Because the mother hung herself. The mother hung herself. So I guess they did a cesarean immediately in prison, in the hospital, whatever, and just like pulled her out. I don't know how else.
She was adopted by like a different family.
Yeah. That's why she was so mad because like. My grandma wouldn't fucking take me. I was shunned off into the ether, and the people that I was with that adopted me, they saw me as a mad person as well.
I mean, they weren't wrong.
They weren't wrong. And then I found out who Daddy was, and then I went back to Daddy to suck on his teeth and get groomed to become a serial killer.
And there you go, another plot hole where the corrections officers are like, oh, he's never visited by anybody. Yeah. But she says that she visited him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's right.
So there was an error in the author's writing. She probably should have had a quality check. But maybe she might have been drunk. Who knows?
Yeah, there wasn't enough like did the letters do it? Like what was it a letter exchange, and that's why kind of the officer didn't see anybody come in, but they were obviously like sending letters back and forth and stuff. Maybe I missed that. I don't know. But it is a very short thing. Harper's whole story is short. There's honestly not much to Harper.
Because it devolved from the whole expose to it's about to be a girlfriend, and then they start fighting.
Yeah. So she gets up enough energy to just like lunge at Harper.
That was after she coerced her to say, like, you see that box on the apple hasn't fallen far from the tree. You see that box down over there?
Yeah.
My victims are in there, but I may not have done it. She mouthed off things about like how she had the body decomposed and all that stuff, or the parts decomposed.
And the reason, Tiffany, what's the reason? What's the reason why Harper would believe that there are any hands from Nora's like victims, any victims that Nora would even have?
Because there was a hand.
Well, was there? There was no hand. Was that?
Or I don't.
No. What happened was that Harper had followed her, and she saw her basically load up that house-beaten wife like earlier in the story with a syringe and was like,
oh yeah,
hey, use this if you need it, basically.
That was at the very end. Afterwards, it was in one of the letters that she wrote.
Yeah.
About that, like, hey, listen, I know you're being abused. Take this syringe with this little chemical. It's gonna make it seem like he has a heart attack.
Right.
So she basically kind of helped this lady be a Black Widow in a way.
Yeah.
But
so that's why Harper was like, oh yeah, you have it in you too. You're just like
yeah,
me.
because I've seen it.
I've seen it exactly. And at this point, I believe Brady makes his triumphant return.
He's the hero. He's not the hero.
That was after the cat jumped on Harper.
Right. The cat does try to like help fend off Harper because they're all wrestling and stuff for the gun. And Brady comes in, picks up the gun, and is like, trying to choose who to.
Well, I mean, like the whole part about like
It was like
who.
a Spider-Man.
Yeah, it was like she was not gonna like listen, Brady, baby, it ain't me, I promise, it's her. And then Harper's like, no, it's her. She attacked me. Look what she did to Philip. His hand is fucked.
Yeah.
And he's like, I don't know. Fuck both of you guys. You both get on the ground.
Yeah. Well,
and then she passes out.
Yeah, and at that point she passes out. She finds herself. Now I think she says something specifically to Brady that proves. Well, I mean, Philip survives, so Philip like corroborates the story of like what happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if any of you remember, Brady was like, "Yo, listen, I wanted to trust you, and I did, but at the same time, I also couldn't because I didn't know, but I couldn't trust Harper either because even though she's playing, doll eyes and all that stuff and trying to play off this game, like she also had a knife on her thigh, and I was like, you know what? Nah, man, you get on the ground too, bro, because I don't trust you either."
Yeah.
Harper had a big knife strapped to her cap. She had it in the sheath like she was a pirate or a samurai, was the quote.
Oh, that's bad writing.
yeah, she would have got down and dirty for him real quickly, and then just got him right there, and then.
That is bad writing, though.
So Harper basically at the very end here is
got Scott.
Yeah, got. She gets sent off to jail, or prison, I guess, like Daddy.
Two life sentences, and the guy that she was dating was also an accomplice.
Oh,
when she went back and looked through the records, she if it wasn't this guy, because he
was the one that was in the car accident.
Yeah,
It was Sunny, but it wasn't Sunny.
Yeah,
it was Barnett Jr. or some shit like that.
It was the guy that she was dating before Philip got into try to get her. She was calling her little eyes out.
She played it off as oh, I think he's gonna propose. Psych, he broke up with me, but in actuality, it was that second night where Nora was being pursued, and he led his dumb ass into a fucking tree. Yeah. Which, and again, in my opinion, that's pretty fucking hilarious. How stupid can you be?
Yeah, I don't know.
You're on a tree.
That's what I'm saying. A lot of this is what was nice about this book is that it was really a quick read, and I could see it being into a movie, and it could be again, not the heyday of Scream, but more like the Scream 5, 6, at this point.
Like a quick little movie you watch for funsies.
I feel like it could have the potential to be something like Megan, for example.
Like a Lifetime movie.
Yeah, or a Lifetime movie.
Maybe a Lifetime movie.
Yeah.
I still feel like it could be on the big screen. It could definitely do it.
Well, I will say it's very much like a Lifetime movie because at the end it's a happy ending. It turns out that Brady and Nora get together. They're together. gonna get
To
married.
the farmer's market.
They're gonna have kids and all of that. Well, maybe, you know, that's kind of a story for
That's
them.
She outgrew it. She outgrew it. Now, like, you know what? I actually love kids because they were interacting with their daughter and all this nonsense.
And so it ends off with Nora seeing Marjorie, a grown-up Marjorie, at this like farmer's market. She's happy now, selling.
She's
like,
married, got kids, got a farm.
Yeah, and I will say that the next time she saw Marjorie at school, she didn't talk to her or anything, but she put Tiffany in her fucking place. Where
Tiffany, put the spitballs away, all right?
Not
Put the straw down.
fuck with a Marjorie Tiffany, right? That kind of thing. So she kind of like she basically gave her like a leg up in life a little bit because like Tiffany fucked off. Cause everybody was scared of Nora. Like she's got those eyes, you know, that she'll kill you.
Yeah, she's got that penknife that Daddy gave her too, and everything.
Yeah, but she never used any of that on any of those kids. You know what I mean? So it's not, you know, it was just like she's intimidating. I guess I don't know. Like again, there's like weaknesses. There's a lot of weaknesses.
Yeah.
To this story. But it was a quick, like 3 days for me. So it's like, you know, I would still say it's fun enough. 3.5 to 4, I would give it still. And, you know, Lifetime movie for sure. Big potential there.
At least Lifetime. I personally feel it could be a good movie.
Yeah.
Because it could flesh it out a little bit more because it does have those elements.
Now,
to make it a pretty good movie.
Now, I think what should have happened was fuck the Harper. Fuck all of the Harper. Harper should have been a victim. Or close to a victim. Or like.
Well, that's what I was actually going to ask. Like,
yeah.
Well, let's start from the far left, Tiffany. Like, since you're very big, from what you said, that you're very big on horror movies and stuff like that, so you kind of are in tune with that. How do you feel the book should have gone to make it more of an interesting read?
I definitely feel like it would have been more interesting if Nora was the killer. The whole setup.
But then let's expand. How would you have wanted that to be played out in the book? How do you think it would have made it? Like, given the context that we know about the book now, what would you have changed in the book to reach that goal? Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, the memory loss thing could work. But you could also view it as like she is an unreliable narrator. So if she doesn't see herself as the killer, we're only getting her view, and so that's why we wouldn't think she was the killer. I don't know. It definitely has the potential. It just wasn't fleshed out enough for me, and there were definitely plot holes.
I think if they would have really leaned into the like surreal pieces of the plot, like her being chased, right? If they would have leaned into that, they could have switched it to her being the killer.
Yeah.
But they would have had to really, I think it would have had to lean more horror than thriller to a certain extent to get to her being the killer. And I think it would have been interesting if her victim actually was Harper.
Yeah.
Like her last victim that we like learn that she's the killer is Harper.
Because of how much care she applied. Same thing like with her patients. Like she did apply a level of care to them as well. So
yeah, but she also loved to cut.
She also loved to cut. And guess what? She ended up cutting them hands too.
Wasn't there like a scene where she's talking about one of her patients had like a virgin skin or something?
Yeah.
Oh, it's so easy because you don't have scar tissue.
Yeah. I believe it was somebody that recently got into a wreck or something, and she needed to like get into it and like immediately.
Yeah, it was like her appendix. It was bleeding, and I remember the part where she had to cut it to take a look at, like, cut her open and take a look into it, and then like she kept bleeding more and more and more. She told her assistant to stop the suctioning, and she had to go feel around, which expanded on her understanding of the human anatomy and how she can actually feel everything around. So, and she was able to stop the bleeding, clamp it, all that good stuff, and then get all that fixed up. So it definitely built up a lot more in regards to she has the knowledge, she has the skill, she has the easy access. There is so many things that could go for her to make her the actual killer.
She did not have the forensic wherewithal, that's for sure.
Which started to throw her off. I'm like, if they're gonna paint her as a killer in this book, she's a fucking idiot. But Obviously,
Yeah,
no
like
one
if
showed her.
Harper could have been the killer had it been fleshed out more. I feel like
Right.
Yeah, if we really
it read a lot more like the author was like, okay, I'm getting to the end. Who am I going to make the killer? Just take the easy road. Oh, secret sibling.
Well, the easy road would have been with Philip. Like, just stick with Philip.
True,
Because
true.
you know, you already had so much legwork built up.
Or Brady more because they had the history.
Yeah.
I agree. I think that Brady was possibly the worst red herring. I think he was the worst. I don't think that he fit as a killer. There was no, like, in his actual personality base, there was no semblance of him being a killer. He's pursuing this woman in a way that's, like, respectful. He's not trying to freak her out at all. He's trying to be so accommodating to her, even though, like, he's like, hey, you know, like, what's going on?
Yeah, but the moment that she gives him an end, he jumps on it immediately. But again, the way
Because he was interested in her.
yeah, which is fair, but I feel like he could have been really good. Because again, the only reason why I say that is because his backstory was fleshed out the most outside of Nora.
That's because the author wanted us to believe that it was Brady, but it just didn't. It didn't fit the character that she was building up.
So do you think that it would have been more cliche if it was him then?
I think it would have been 100% worse if it was Brady.
Do you agree?
Well, the problem with Brady is that, like, he, like Winona was saying, like, he just didn't feel like the type by the end. Like, there was a lot of, like, crap that they put on him, like, you know, no actual daughter, but she saw the picture, you know, of the daughter.
But you want to log into Facebook and all that stuff.
Yeah, exactly. So it was like, all right, whatever. And so also on top of that, you know, I feel like with Brady, yeah, it was just like, I personally, if it was going to be anybody, it would have been the doctor. It would have been, because he pursued her, he got her, he's a weirdo too, like a sexual deviant. He has that drive to, like, cut people too. He's a big surgeon. He loves cutting people. Like, all of that would have easily just been shifted and pointed to him. You know, I feel like that would have been probably the easiest without it feeling also like, I don't know, like, yeah, with what's her sister's name again? Harriet?
Harper.
Such a forgettable character.
It's so forgettable. Literally nothing to hold on to, or the fact that her boyfriend. Oh yeah, I had my boyfriend follow you, and he's.
Hey, Sonny's dead.
Yeah, it's like, okay, so, like, what would have been the plan? Like, would she just pretend to, like, had the boyfriend not gotten into a crash, right? What would have happened?
It probably would have just escalated more.
Well, because the whole thing with him getting in a crash, that's why she seduced the doctor, you know, Philip, into the thing and into the house, and, you know, I don't even know how she got him into the house. If he's a big guy.
Did we ever learn about what the blood puddle was?
No.
I don't think so.
Well, no.
No, I think it was just part of her, like, messing with Nora. That's probably what it was.
But
Because it seemed like she was toying with her.
But she seemed physically less than, you know, even toward Nora, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, like, a lot of this required, like, man effort, right? Like, and she didn't have a boyfriend. Her boyfriend was, like, fucking wrung out by a tree.
Yeah, I was saying, like, the boyfriend got his lovings with the tree, but the blood stuff in the hand, that was after he was wrapped around a tree. So
Yeah, so how did she get Philip to the basement? How did she...
Well, it's because, remember in the story, she said that she was able to get the copies, like the keys from her desk. Because she always...
No, but why would Phil want to go to Nora's house, go into her basement, only to sit in a chair and get fucking eviscerated, even if he was drugged? Even if he was drugged.
Also,
why pick Philip? All of the other ones were women with dark hair and blue eyes. Why not get another woman that was dark hair and blue eyes?
Man, you know what? My rating's going to a 2! Fuck this book!
It just doesn't make any sense. Why change your victimology in the last minute?
And let's just say that she was trying to paint Nora as the killer, which is true. That's what she said. Mm-hmm. At the end, Harper was saying that she was trying to paint Nora as the killer because I don't know why. Quite frankly,
it was to avenge Daddy. It was what it was.
Yeah,
because he was betrayed.
But what does it do for Harper?
It gives a sense of justice because, again, she said that she started to create a bond with her dad after she found out who she was, and started the visits.
Okay, so let's say all of that is true, right? And you're trying to frame Nora as the killer. Now all of a sudden, she's killing the partner of her practice. That is financially not realistic. That is medically not realistic. Like, it just doesn't make sense to put the partner.
Maybe she could have spun off like he found out, and she needed to silence her. Again, there could be speculation on how.
You are really sticking to your 4-star rating. You're like, this is the best book.
I will say it was a genuinely good read.
Yeah,
it was short. It had its issues.
Now that we're talking
every
about
weird fucking stepchild, it had its issues.
Yeah,
but it was good.
Yeah, now that we're talking about it, obviously, like, I'm seeing more issues than I saw while reading the book. So if you're just going in blind and reading the book, great, you know? And
I will also say, don't hold my ratings to like some high esteem, because like some of the books you'll look at my Goodreads and you're like, you rated that a 5. It's not because it was good; it's because I had a good time.
Yeah.
This one I did not have a good time.
That's what my ratings are about. Everything is based on vibes. Did I have a good time? Was it interesting to read? I don't. Literally, I don't give a shit. I'm having a good time. That's what I'm here for.
I'm here for a good time, not a good book.
Yeah, I'm not here to be some, perfect reviewer.
Yeah. And it was free on Amazon at the time when we were reading.
Pretty baller. We pay for the subscription, so we get free books.
Yeah. So overall, whatever. I still think it was fun enough. 3 is good. All right, so let's just give it a 3. It's not a very good, and it's definitely.
I'm keeping it out as a 4. I keep it a buck. I keep it as a 4 just because I could see this becoming a movie. The small issues that can be fixed in the movie. I want to see it on the big screen. I want to see this.
But there's so
look at that cat just like reaching over like.
They definitely have to definitely iron out a lot of the story.
That cat really wants to touch the blood puddle.
Yeah, for sure. He definitely wants to touch a blood puddle. That is asking for food.
Yeah. So basically, I think the next book we were thinking about was Witch's Daughter.
Is that the one we were looking at?
Yeah, but we could do something else. But yeah, the idea is maybe we'll
the Goosebump books.
Yeah, we could do the Goosebumps. We could do Choose Your Own Adventure. Everybody's gonna have a different story. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we could do Witch's Daughter. Probably.
You're thinking of something like to the whole Thanksgiving theme.
Yeah, like something for November.
But are we still in spooky season? Why are we missing out in spooky season?
Well, because we're doing once a month.
Yeah.
Oh.
You want to do it more often than that?
Well, I thought we were going to read something more spoopy. I mean,
Do you want to read something?
Yeah, of course I do. I love anything that's scary.
Well,
because it gets a good laugh out of me.
I mean, I wouldn't have. It's a thriller. I wouldn't have called this a scary story. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, it was a thriller. It wasn't terrifying at all. But then again, I'm also kind of like mentally handicapped when it comes down to stuff being scary because I enjoy scary stuff and I find them amusing, not terrifying.
Okay. All right. I mean that's a great reason to sure we could do another. Well, like what we're not doing another book by her though. Let's just.
Well, I mean, sure, of course.
Seeing as I've read a second book by her, I would not read anything else by her.
Yeah.
I had a good time.
Like no offense. I think we gave you a shot. No, that's kind of it.
Yeah. I think maybe some books would be fun, but you might need more than 300 pages. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah.
Listen, McFadden, your book Poggers, all right? I don't care what anyone says. It was Poggers. I want to see the film.
Okay.
I want to see the film. Get on it.
All right. All right then. The glowing recommendation. Yeah. So that's our idea for now. Comment, like, share, subscribe, etc. Do you guys have anything you want to, plug? Do you want to say anything?
Nope.
No? All right.
Make sure you double check your chicken noodle soup before you consume it. You never know what could be in it.
Yes. Yeah. Very dangerous. Could be hands. Could be.
Don't trust any locked doors.
Yeah,
no more locked doors.
No more locked doors. All right. See ya. Sayonara. Bye-bye.